I could echo every single point Sovereign made. So I'm going to tie it in a little bit, and I know some of you, heard me go on and on, so I'm sorry, I haven't had much time to come up with new material. But I'm with Roadrunner Food Bank. I've worked with Roadrunner Food Bank for over 9 years now. And I was born and raised in New Mexico. And my dad's family, they were some of those European immigrants that seemed to come over 150 years ago and learn to speak the language and all that after 150 years. But my mother's side of the family has ties to New Mexico that go back hundreds of years, so I take a lot of pride in my home state and in my hometown. And I went away for about 10 years, my time in the desert of Colorado and Utah, and came home right when the recession hit. And and it's not like Albuquerque looked that much different than it did when I left. It's always been hard times here, and that hasn't changed. But yeah, it's particularly heartbreaking to see what we're dealing with now. And so I'm always very thankful we have organizations like Bread for the World and Poverty and Law. So I got a job at Roadrunner Food Bank, and I started as a temp. And after my first day, I thought, I don't know what these guys think, but I'm staying around. And so I managed to trick them for 9 years into keeping me. Roadrunner, in case you don't know, I'm just going to give you a little bit about the food bank. It's a statewide organization. There are 4 other food banks in New Mexico. We call them, they are partner distribution organizations. So there's one in Gallup, one in Farmington, one in Clovis, and one in Santa Fe. So through an indirect means of distributing food to those food banks and our direct service, which is basically the central and southern part of the state, what we do is we supply food to either the food banks or these small churches and community centers that give out food once a week or once a month. The people that run these things are the salt of the earth. They work very hard. It's very difficult to run a small grocery store once a month or once a week. And they're the ones on the front lines. And through that incredible network of partners, Roadrunner Food Bank feeds 70,000 people a week. Wow. And I'm going to rephrase that a little bit because I said feeds. That's our old tagline. I like the term serve. We serve 70,000 people a week. That's about the population of Santa Fe. So that's the situation in New Mexico. Knowing that, having had the privilege to go out to multiple food pantries across the state and see the food lines, cuts of proposals and notions of food boxes are perverse. They are just asinine. I can't say much more bad about them because as a representative of Roadrunner, I got to keep it classy. But ridiculous measures. And I think what gets lost in the discussions we're about to have on the Farm Bill, I guarantee you're going to hear the term SNAP is grossly mismanaged, or what is it, ripe with fraud. I'm saying it now, I'm predicting it. You're going to hear that from some talking head on all the major news networks. They're going to say ripe with fraud. That's their byline. It's actually not ripe with fraud. It's a very efficiently run. The introduction of the EBT cards really cut fraud. Yes, there are people that stock up and sell their EBT cards, but there's people in Congress that do something very similar, just on a bigger scale. It hurts all of us. So anyway, I'm getting kind of mad there. I'll settle down for a second here so I can get to my little story. But so Roadrunner Food Bank has been around since 1979, distributing food, working with our partners. It's a tough business. We're kind of like a trucking company mixed with a social services company, and it's a lot of hard work, but the end results are great. And so a lot of people kind of ask, well, why is the food bank getting involved in charity? Why is it getting involved in government programs like SNAP? I.e., Jason, why do you even have a job? And the fact is, food banks have always been working with government. Government Commodities Program, which is called TFAP, a very clever acronym. It stands for the Emergency Food Assistance Program. They actually put the T in there. That's how we distribute a good portion of our food. A lot of our food comes from private donations, but most of it, the bulk of it, is stuff that we get from major grocery store chains and suppliers. Food that we rescue, food that would otherwise be in a landfill because it's past its sell-by date. Keep in mind, when you're going through your cabinet, those old cans and stuff like that, those are sell-by dates, they're not expiration dates. That food can last in those cans for years beyond that date. So if you're looking to clean out your cabinet, go ahead and give it over to Roadrunner. We can obviously, like most charities, do a lot more with money than we can with that kind of donation, but we will accept everything, including the donation of time. So if you are moved here and want to get involved with SNAP Outreach, as Jeannie over there does, please come talk to me. I have some information on how you can help that won't take up too much of your time each month. Okay, where was I? Back to Roadrunner Food Bank, why we're working with government programs. As hard as everybody's working, and when I say everybody, I don't just mean Roadrunner. I am talking about these small churches and organizations that are putting out food pantries or running soup kitchens. As hard as everybody's working, the food that we give out to 70,000 New Mexicans a week is only going to last on average 2 weeks. There's that other 2 weeks. It just so happens that on average, SNAP benefits last people about 2 weeks. So together, there's this chance, however humble, that we can get families and households through that month with enough food to last them throughout. And that's a real powerful thing. In addition to that, there is also an economic benefit that I'd like to discuss before I kind of get to the heart of it. Sorry to get this off my phone. We do outreach. What we do is we go out and into the community. We go to food pantries. We've gone to WIC clinics. We can go out there and talk to folks. We bring sometimes paper SNAP applications. This is what I started. I was a one-man show doing this by myself, going to every food pantry I could cram in one day. We talk to people how they can apply. There's a lot of misconceptions on SNAP and who qualifies, who doesn't. One of the things I heard the most from people was, I don't need SNAP, I'm not there yet. I don't want to take benefits from someone else. And that always kind of moves me, because even people down on their luck, that they don't want to take benefits from someone else. I talked to a single man. He doesn't want to take benefits from the mothers with children that they're raising alone, the older folks that feel like they're okay, it's not as bad as it was when they were growing up. They don't want to take benefits. Well, the fact is, it is an expanding net of hope. That's a good phrase, I should write that down. Expanding net of hope.
Duly noted.
Just made that up in my head, too. It expands, it contracts with the economy. It's like the national defense. It's just unending amount of money that we can use to feed our fellow Americans. So I'd like to just put that out there. You're not taking benefits away from anyone if you apply for SNAP. And I think a lot of people are fearful they might not qualify. Well, you're not going to get in trouble if you apply and you don't qualify. So I'll put that out there. But what we do is we go out, we talk to folks, and if they are interested, we pre-screen them. We don't want to waste anybody's time, but we're never going to discourage anyone from applying. The application is supposed to be written at a 6th grade level. 6th grade was really hard, really hard. And this application is confusing. I've filled out, I don't even want to brag how many hundreds of applications I have filled out with people. And I still have to reread parts of it. But it can be especially hard if you're worried about your kids and you don't know how you're going to pay your heat bill and you only got a couple of pieces of bread left in the refrigerator. It can be really hard. Sometimes people are in such a crisis point, there's this freeze that happens where they don't want to reach out for the help that not only that they need, but frankly, as an American citizen, they have a right to. So that's what the job of outreach is, going out talking to people. It's a lot of hanging out at food pantries and just standing around, chatting with folks. The more comfortable they are with you, the more likely they're going to let you go through their personal lives and write it down on an application. We started with just doing paper applications in the field. One thing New Mexico has going for it, we have an online application. So we now have a SNAP support line where folks can actually call in to our office. We have a dedicated line, and we can help people over the phone. We can give them information. We can walk them through the application. We even help them fill out the application if they so desire over the phone, kind of question and answer submitted on their behalf. I'm sure the state's not too happy about that, but that's what we're doing right now. So if you're looking for a volunteer opportunity and you really just want to be able to sit down, if you can talk and type, you can help people with this. And I have cards here with that support line. So if someone even doesn't want to do it over the phone, we can let them know where we're going to be at a food pantry. We've partnered with, we've had a lot of community folks come out to help us do this. And like Ms. Jeannie, I'll embarrass her, she's fantastic. But we need more people doing it from the community. However, we have developed relationships with Doña Ana Community College in Cruces, and MSU, UNM, and CNM, where we have college interns that need to do service hours. So we'll take them for a semester. We've got our training down. We get them trained up. We get them out in the field, and we get them going while they have those 45 or 90 service hours. So they've helped a lot of people. I'll read a little story. I want to kind of, when we talk about SNAP and we talk about things, it's really easy to forget the human element and the specific individual stories. So if you'll bear with me, I should have this memorized, but this is, although names are changed and stuff like that, this is an actual account. This is somebody I personally helped. I just turned old, so I got to wear this. So forgive me. Okay. You guys ready for story time? Sorry. All right. The East Mountain community is only a 30-minute drive from Albuquerque, New Mexico, but it might as well be a full day's journey for April and her family. April works full-time at a thrift store in what could be called the town center if there were more than 5 scattered buildings. Once you pass the thrift store, there are only dirt roads. Her hourly rate is less than what many teenagers make at after-school jobs in Albuquerque. It is also not enough to sustain her 2 boys and her husband, Walter. Walter works construction for a local firm, but there has not been much work in the last few months. His hours vary from week to week, making it difficult to budget, let alone save. She pays her sister $50 a week to babysit the boys so she can work full-time, and her husband can be available when work calls. Applying for SNAP benefits has been on her to-do list for weeks. Unfortunately, she was unaware that she could apply online, and that's part of the problem. There are some methods of reaching SNAP that people don't even know about. It's not very well promoted. Where was I? And she has not yet scheduled time off to drive to the nearest human services office in Albuquerque. She said, when my boss heard that Roadrunner Food Bank was in the thrift store helping people apply for SNAP, she told me to go on break and come talk to you guys, April told us in a bright, excited tone. As we helped her complete the application, we asked April if she would like to apply for LIHEAP, which is the Energy Assistance Program, in addition to SNAP. She did not think she was eligible since her gas furnace is not functional and they use wood for heat. We let her know that LIHEAP does assist with the purchase of firewood and wood pallets. April said this would help a lot. They did not have money for firewood, and they were down to burning loose 2x4s given to them by a neighbor. The application flatly asks if the client is experiencing an energy emergency. April didn't think so. At night, we all sleep in the room in the house that has heat, she said in a matter-of-fact manner. This was how they got through the cold East Mountain nights. April and her family were used to dealing with such crises, and they did not recognize limited access to food and heat as a genuine emergency. That was just the way things are. Many New Mexican families have this in common with April's family. They come from generations of poverty and struggle. Each month, each day, they simply do what must be done to get to the next. Gasoline and a lack of information can become a barrier to reaching out for help as sure as distance and geography. This is why Roadrunner Food Bank's SNAP Outreach Program is important. Our staff and volunteers can get out to food pantries and help clients apply for public benefits when they obtain groceries, while they obtain groceries. Calling the SNAP support line can easily save people like April the time off from work and the price of the gasoline it would take to drive down to a bigger city to stand in line at a human services office. Once the application was completed, we informed April that we could turn the application in for her. 20 minutes before, applying for SNAP benefits was another item on her hefty things to do list. Now an application was complete and would be submitted later that day. Thanks in no small part to Feeding America and the Walmart Foundation, that is where we get our grant from that this program can exist. She didn't need to leave her town to do it. With a bit of help from a food pantry, public assistance for food and heat, and April's inexhaustible positive energy, day-to-day life will hopefully get a little easier. After saying thank you, April high-fived us and went back to work.